Hello friends here in the study hall and all over the world. We're in a very special Shabbat for attacking the connection between us. We have friends who came from all over Israel, friends, Fran, and all the groups the entire country is. Here we have very special study material there besides him, and we're ready for their attack. So let's aim the heart of each and everyone to open up to the friends and try to connect in such a way with all our hearts so that the Creator will be able to F them, and there will be room for him, the special whole great place, so that he can feel them together. Please, right? Of one there is not else besides him. It is written, there is not else besides him. This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against him. What one sees, that there are things in the world that deny the upper household. The reason is that this is his will. This is deemed a correction called the left rejects, and the right pulls closer. Now what the left rejects is considered a correction. This means that there are things in the world that, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and by which he is rejected from holiness. The benefit from the rejections is that through them a person receives a complete need and desire for the Creator to help him, since he sees that otherwise he's lost. Not only is he not progressing in the work, he even sees that he regresses, that is, he lacks the strength to observe, and even only by genuinely overcoming all the obstacles above reason can he observe the Torah, but he does not always have the strength to overcome above reason, otherwise he's forced to deviate, God forbid, from the way of the Creator, even from Lishmer. He who always feels that the shattered is greater than the whole, meaning that there are many more descents than the sense, and it does not see an end to these states, and he will forever remain outside of holiness, for he sees that is difficult for him to observe even in the slightest bit, unless by overcoming above reason. But he cannot always overcome, so what will be the end? Then he comes to the decision that no one can help but the Creator himself, causes him to make a heartfelt demand that the Creator will open his eyes and heart and truly bring him closer to eternal adhesion with the Creator. Therefore follows that all the rejections that he had were all from the Creator. This means that it was not because he was at fault that he did not have the ability to overcome, rather for those people who truly want to draw near to the Creator, so they do not settle for little, meaning remain as senseless children, bleed that he therefore given help from above. You will not be able to say, thank God I have Torah and good deeds, and what else do I need? Only if that person has a true desire will he receive help from above. He will always be shown that he's at fault on the present state, namely he sent thoughts and views that are against the work. This is in order for him to see he is not in wholeness with the Creator, and as much as he overcomes, he always sees that he is farther from holiness than others feel that they are in Hess with their Creator, where he has, and he cannot justify the way the Creator behaves with him, and that gives him pain. Why is he not in Hess with the Creator? Finally, he comes to feel that he has no part in holiness at all, although he occasionally receives an awakening from above which momentarily revives him. Soon after, he falls into the place of baseness, yet this is what causes him to come to realize that only the Creator can help and really bring him closer. One must always try and adhere to the Creator, that all his thoughts will be about him, that is to say, even if he is in the worst state from which there cannot be a greater decline, he should not leave his domain, namely that there is another authority that prevents him from entering holiness that can bring benefit or harm. That is, he must not think that there is a force of the other side that does not let a person do good deeds and walk in the ways of the Creator. Rather, all is done by the Creator. Said he who says that there is another force in the world, namely kapot shells, that person is in a state of serving other gods, is not necessarily the thought of heresy. That is the transgression, but if he thinks that there is another authority and force apart from the Creator, he's committing a transgression. One who says that man has his own authority, that is, he says that yesterday he himself did not want to follow the Creator's ways. This too is considered committing the transgression of heresy, meaning he does not believe that only the Creator is the leader of the world. When he has committed a transgression, you must certainly regret it and be sorry for committing the transgression. But there too we should place the pain and sorrow in the right order. Where does he place the cause of their transgression? For this is the point that should be regretted. Then one should be remorseful and say, I committed that transgression because the Creator hurled me down from holiness to a place of filth, to the lavatory, the place of filth. To say that the Creator gave him a desire and craving to amuse himself and breathe air in a place of stench. You might say that it is written in books that sometimes one comes incarnated as a pig. We should interpret this as he says that a person receives a desire and craving to derive vitality from things he had already determined or litter, and now he wants to receive nourishment from them. When one feels that now he's in a state of ascent, feels some good flavour in the work, he must not say, now I am in a state that I understand that it is worthwhile to be a servant of the Creator. Rather, you should know that now the Creator favoured him, hence the Creator brought him closer, and this is why he now feels a good taste in the work, and he should be careful never to leave the domain of holiness to say that there is someone else who's operating besides the Creator. But this means that the matter of being favoured by the Creator or the opposite does not depend on the person himself, but only on the Creator. Why he has found favour in the Creator, and afterward did not, man cannot understand with his external mind. Likewise, when he regrets that the Creator does not draw him near, he should also be careful that it would not be in relation to himself, meaning that he is removed from the Creator, for by this he becomes a receiver for his own benefit, and a receiver is separated. Rather, he should regret the exile of divinity, meaning that he is causing the sorrow of divinity, and one should imagine that it is as though a small organ of the person is sore. Nevertheless, the pain is felt primarily in the mind and in the heart. The heart and the mind are the whole of men, and certainly the sensation of a single organ cannot resemble the sensation of a person's full stature, which is primarily where the pain is felt. Likewise is the pain that one feels when he is removed from the Creator, since man is but a single organ. The divinity is the common soul of Israel. The of a single organ is not like the sensation of the general pain, that is, there is sorrow in the when the organs are removed from her, and she cannot nurture her organs. We should say that this is as our sages said, when a man regrets what does they say, it is lighter than my head. By not relating the sorrow of remoteness to himself, he spared falling into the trap of the desire to receive for himself, which is considered separation from holiness. The same applies when one feels some closeness to holiness, when he feels joy at having been effaved by the Creator. Then too he must say that his joy is primarily because now there is joy above and being able to bring her private organ near her, and that she did not have to send her private organ out, and one derives joy from being awarded with pleasing. That this is in accord with the above calculation, that when there is joy to the part is only a part of the joy of their whole. Through these calculations he loses his individuality and avoids being trapped by the set, which is the will to receive for his own benefit, although the will to receive is necessary, since this is the whole of men, since anything that exists in a person apart from the will to receive does not belong to the creature, but we attribute it to the Creator. Will to receive pleasure should be corrected to work in order to bestow, that is the pleasure and joy that the will to receive takes, should be with the aim that there is contentment above when the creatures feel pleasure, as this was the purpose of creation, to the good to his creations. And this is called the joy of the above. For this reason one must seek advice how he can bring contentment above. Clearly if he receives pleasure there will be contentment above. Therefore he yearns to always be in the king's palace and have the ability to play with the king's treasure, and this will certainly bring contentment above. It follows that all his longing should be only for the sake of the Creator. This is the first article that Rabash gave me, and this is how the other articles started. Questions. I think that this is the fundamental most important article. Says, why did he find favor with the Creator? And later, he did not. A person cannot comprehend with his external mind does. He say don't look for the reason or look for the reason, but understand is not available in your mind. No advance in spite of whatever reasons seem to you. Person has that question why now, yes, and later know what to do with this question. We don't have the possibility to answer it, but rather to think of as some incidental, imaginary reasons. I don't recommend that, but rather go forward whatever it is to understand that this question exists, but to ignore it. Yes, more. How can it be that if there are more transgressions than successes, and he has no ability to overcome even above reason, and it comes to demand from the Creator if all his failures are greater than his successes? If a person feels that he has complaints towards the Creator because the shutter is greater than the whole and he cannot arrange those complaints, then why should we sweeten them? We simply continue. We don't pay attention to these questions for the time being because we don't have the possibility to ask correctly and also to answer correctly, also to get to the answer. Then it comes to decision that there's no one that can help him but the Creator himself. We say the Creator always helps through the group. What does that mean? That the Creator will only help him himself? Usually yes, the help comes through the group. It could be that the person hears that answer by himself, not that he hears it from the friends. He feels this answer truly inside of his heart directly from above. Again, good morning. Typically, to relate everything that is happening to me personally, I can't relate it to the Creator act overcoming or mine. I did it if I'm in a state of I feel bad, as he say I'm a heretic, related to someone else state, but because I'm in the environment in retrospect related to there's not besides him. Whatever happened to me is not besides him. How in the current moment do everything that's happening to me, I relate it to the Creator, and if it even enters the into correction, all these states you understand, all the states enter the correction, but how each time to hold on to this point of the connection with the Creator and the correction. For this we have to be connected to the group. Not only that we need to hasten, there's another point, right? Need to hasten the times as if we're lagging behind with everything that's happening. No, the most important for us is to always be connected to the group and flow into every state that the group flows into. This is more important. The personal feeling, you should add that to the group and flow in that. We thank you. Yes, there are states where a person does not feel that there's besides him, right? Because that is his will to not feel this way. Yes, so what should a person do in such states that this is his desire to not feel this? We search for a connection with the society. Where inside his connection with the society, he finds his connection with the Creator. What is there in the connection with the group that brings you recognition of those besides him? Because all of his friends are directing him towards that. So when he connects with them, he enters the same direction. Personally, when a person goes through certain things in life, certain situations, he looks at reality in this way. He tries to relate everything to the besides him is not. That's not considered his work, is considered work, but such work that he's not getting closer to the goal. The goal comes to us as a result of Connection where? They're in the connection with their friends and searching for the feeling of the creator, one creator instead of inside of one connection, inside of one group, and he as one is searching but actually is the goal. No, KS, you morning hour. Friends finishes. Last saying for this one advice, how can he bring contempt above and clearly if you receive pleasure there will be contentment. Above tell me what kind of advice I can take for today's situation. How can I think of this besides him? If you reach a certain awareness to a certain degree that there is none else besides him, then you feel yourself and is happy. Look, I always try to apply what's happening in the field. How can I say that there's besides him despite everything you see around you such darkness? How can you say it? That's why I hear from all around me not besides him. What does mean that there's not besides him? Even though he's showing you such blackness in your eyes, you also say that there's not besides him. Can you see it this way? Can you give contentment to the creator by seemingly blaming him for everything? How to come out of that loop? Throughout history, the creator did many such exercises to us, and we went through all of them, and this is how we reach the entrance to the period of the end of correction, about which it is written that it is altogether a very difficult state, and it's very hard to hold on in it, and he that we are in this period already, and therefore let's hope that we will go through it, and the Spirit comes in order to correct us, to adapt us to the state following the end of correction. And so let's try to get stronger, and our whole success is in the connection between us, because only through connection do we reach that state where all of us are connected in the right way, and we are ready to hold on to that weight of the end of correction. The question is, in today's state, practically speaking, do I also need to what we say think there's besides him, spite of everything that he's doing everything? What should I think about? What do I to do in such states? You should persuade yourself. You should persuade yourself that indeed there is none else besides him, and the creator does and will do everything, and it is upon us only to search how we can attach ourselves to him despite everything, rise above himself, in spite of everything. It doesn't matter how much you understand it or you don't understand it. If you could, if you would get such an education from your parents, such an education from your teachers, also with such education you'd run away, you'd cry out how come, but now you already received a certain understanding that you have to accept this education and adapt yourself to a special state. A question she's asking, can we give contempt to the creator in spite of everything, even when we search how to connect and adapt ourselves to the state of the end of correction? We nevertheless give contentment to the creator even though we're not yet in that state. Okay, that's how it is. Yes. I want to get back to the question Sko asked earlier. I didn't understand the answer. His first question was if I understood correctly. We can say this not besides him after the fact, but how can you relate what's happening to the creator throughout an event, not only actively the fact that you will say after the act that you already see the bottom line, the summary, that there is none else besides him? That's not really that much. That is simply faith within reason. You could even say that it's below reason. The fact that you say about anything that is revealed to you that there is none else besides him, and it comes from the good who does good, and you want to accept it in this way with all of your heart. Let it come seemingly completely revealed, this whole action, as the good who does good from its beginning to its end. That is the true solution. And how do you do it? How do you do it? By connecting with the group and getting stronger with the friends. What's the connection between the connection in the group, relating things to their no beside him, and that he is the good who does good? Because you have to be convinced by the friends that this is how it is that There is none else besides him, and he's good and does good, and certainly in the present state. Also, how can the friends convince me of that? Well, you depend on them. If they all of them think this way, and they determine this way, then you have no choice. You receive from then this you tell me this, or is it enough that they're thinking it, and then it's passing to me, because I depend on them. They think about it, they talk about it, and you feel it in them, and this is our obligation to present ourselves in this way towards each and every friend. 10. From that I simply absorb it from them. Yes, there was somebody here. Yes, I want to ask, what does it mean to reach a decision, but there's not besides him. It's that I take it upon myself. The leadership of the Creator is, though it is revealed, and I relate to it as though it is the only thing that works on me, and I stand before it, and I accept its ability to be in awareness and attainment of the besides him depends on how he directs his heart. Do you attain it? Do you attain it in permanence? We attain it from weaving the person's heart. Yes, somebody. The question if came to this place, where I determined in the midst of the situation that there's N besides him, what's the benefit from that? What's so special about doing it during rather than after the event? The benefit from it is that you enter a world that is filled by one Creator, and you are inside of him. I'm entering one world with the Creator. I'm in it. This is how you feel, and this determines your decisions, your actions, your life, everything. By you delving into these things that only the Creator exists, there is none else besides him, and he operates in all of the details in reality in which you exist, and you have nothing else to do but rather to adhere to him. Will my actions be different if I'm doing it throughout, during, or after the event? I can't seem to get it. And what will I behave different? What is my state different if you will work on yourself in order to search for that single force that surrounds everything and manages everything, and there is none else besides him? Then you will simply reach contact with the Creator, and later on adhesion with the Creator, which actually is the purpose of our life. When you're trying to do this action, you constantly discover that you're not there. I'm speaking of myself. Okay, so you're given an opportunity to add a bit more, to add a bit more efforts. Then after I add these efforts, as you explained, certainly through the friend's prayer, we know how to do that. What will change then? What would be special about which is seemingly the highest state that we're talking about too? Besides him, what will be then? Yeah, how it will it be different? That's consider the end of the correction of that man. So that's it again. Earlier I heard that you said the period, but the correction is something that's hard to hold on to, and we hope that we will get through it this time. What do you mean hopefully? Is it possible we won't be able to make its spirit is not simple. I say it's really hard. It's new, and we in that must go many times with our eyes shut and hear our teachers in a way that they are up above, and they determine our path. What we experienced, what we still experience now, is it a sign of that period? The level of difficulty of this period, what we're experiencing now, the states our people are experiencing now, is that only a sign of the beginning of that period you're talking about? Well, let's hope not. Not let's hope that we won't enter that period, because such things are written about it, that it's not good for us to feel it in the way that it was written, but rather we will try with the Creator's help, with the Creator's mercy, to go through it a little bit above it. What makes this time unique is that the light is growing stronger, and if we're not suitable for it, then we will experience it in external forms. Yes, so from here comes the responsibility for connection, and has to be suitable for that, has to adapt to it. We have to understand we have responsibility for connection, and increasing it may be according to the pace of what's coming from above, and then we'll experience everything, but more internally perhaps rather than externally. Well, I can't really speak about internally. Externally, we don't yet know that. Okay. Yes, how and when do you determine that? There's N besides him when we can get close to it and identify it and adhere to it. What kind of things happen to a person in life? How can he determine that there's no us besides him? And now I overcame or did not overcome. When is the time person stops and says there's no one else that can help me but the Creator? Women keeps saying have to overcome above reason in prayer to the friends kind. So many actions also about that there is none else besides him. That has to be above everything. When will a person say it? It can say that there's not best about everything, and then it's nothing. That's just to say that's not the state one has to feel. One has to be close to it, want to be connected to it. We work in the 10. We have all kinds of meeting points. Let's call it, let's say, and I missed a meeting point, the gathering. How to determine that was indeed they're not besides them, and I've made all the efforts to be that you should try to feel this. There's nothing to do about it. There's nothing is why say the experienced one. These things are about feeling. When you justify, when you try to justify the Creator, are you in state of lying? Well, as much as you feel it, you feel it. Seemingly understand what's saying internally, but I can't connect it in the actions in my brain. Try more and more. Go, you poor guy, you've been there holding your hand already. Thank, it's very exciting, very moving to see the here great force. I wanted to ask following these questions from to justify, to accept that there's us besides them. During the action throughout our lives, we're required to take many decisions, daily decisions that influence necessarily our spiritual path. It could be about work, living, moving, apartments, family, status, many decisions. So when the Creator lets me feel that he's not the good who does good, is that a signal to change something? When I don't feel that the Creator is good and doing good, I hold to the understanding that there is none else besides him is as good and does good, but actually in practice I don't feel that he's good and does good. It happened to me. Is that a sign from him that I need to change something in my life? Of course. Okay, from that point where I recognize that apparently, well, I feel bad, I need to change something, until you come to the feeling of the Creator that there is N besides him, and that he is the good who does good. You should change. Okay, so I also realized out of that he took care of an environment for me, that I need to change something. For moving, I have to change. Certainly sometimes there are states where we need to say change something on the outside, also externally. Sometimes how do we, the people, the friends who are walking on a spiritual path, how do we know how to accept? I mean the fact that we have to change within. We always understand that we work on that, but when we know that we also need to change something on the outside, these are sometimes critical decisions that can have a great influence on our spiritual development. Is there some principle where we know that now we need to change something on or in our externality? Also, this is something a person typically decides on inside the society. In the society, he has friends. He's connected to them to create a place as his hand and the good fortune, and says take it, and a person should accept it this way and decide and then act. Let's say I'm making 10,000 shekels a month. One day I decided that I can't leave with that. I need to make 15,000 she out. So should I come to the friends and say, guys, I decided to change job? No, we're not talking about such things. So I'm giving this as an example. What does it mean to come to the society, to the group? These things could actually be very intimate, also very personal. I'm trying to get some advice from you about this principle so that I can look some sort of a compass where I can say, now my ego is playing with me and I shouldn't change anything externally. I have to focus internally, or maybe I do need to something on the outside. So how do I take a decision? You can't place entire life of a person into this little pipe in order to not think later, but only flow through it. It doesn't work this way. We need to constantly make decisions and change accordingly, and by that come closer and check ourselves until we reach the correction. You're looking for an easy way out. Sorry, but I'm And keep asking, he writes in the articles, that sometimes a person receives a need and a desire to enjoy things that he said before were filth. Now he finds new pleasure in it. Write an example, how now I suddenly feel that I have some desire all kinds of things. I feel bad in my present state, and this new desire, it shines for me, it can be anything but it shines to me, and it's not related to my spiritual path, maybe even the opposite. How do I know take a decision if I should realize this desire or not realize this desire? Is it even something that I can control? The wisdom of Kabbalah recommends to be in society, to hold on to all the friends is as possible, to study together, to speak with them, to invest oneself in Torah, and after this preparation then to try and decide, make decisions inside the society. Try and decide in the society that he's advancing. You're looking for a one-time solution, one way, immediately and forever. It's the opposite. I'm looking for a principle according to which I can make my decisions in life. No, it doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way. You're not going to get such a principle. You have a principle. It's called there's en us besides him, and few others like that. But nevertheless, with each principle you have to work with each principle constantly. Thanks. Oh, yeah. This article actually relates to a person who is separated from godliness. He is in concealment, and he says there is a way to get closer. He says there's no God, many gods, but one God, etc. I want to ask about a point in the article where he brings a person into a place where he says that even the sorrow, the pain or the joy, you have to come out of it, that it's not personal in turn pain and joy, which is more general. We see it in other places, the sorrow of the friend, the joy of the friend, the sorrow of the joy of the, and I wanted to understand how does that help me to enter the correct perception of reality, to which he's directing us specifically by coming out of my personal feeling to a more general feeling outside of myself. Go ahead, enter the society, enter their thoughts, their desires. So actually my first step towards a more correct, more true scrutiny is to another personal scrutiny myself, but something that is more general, which is outside of me, the kind of scrutiny where you feel you are completely inside the he says even if you feel good and how you are rewarded with something, you should not take it to your own account, but be happy that the is happy of that is happy. So each time I have to make a scrutiny both with pain and sorrow, and also with joy if it is personal and it's disconnected from what is happening on the outside, then it means that I deviated from the right, from the correct reality. It should always be connected to the general, the public. This has to be connected as much as possible to the collective. Friend is asking, is written that men should then regret it and say, the fact that I performed this transgression is because the Creator me from the case. So the question is, if the Creator is good and doing good, then we should attribute everything to him, and he made me do this transgression, so why should I regret it? Why should I regret it? Then you caused the transgression, I caused the transgression. But let's say that I don't regret that problem. You need to look around you and the friends and ask, if you ask yourself if you're together with them or not. The fact that you don't feel sorry, that's clear, but is this attitude correct? I regret it if the Creator made me do this transgression. Here you're starting to throw everything back at that first cause. We left the first grade. What are conditions required of a person in order to attain? There's none else besides him. The conditions, there's not besides him. He needs to be connected with the friends to such an extent you would feel that they are all as one, and then in this connection between them they would feel that there's a single force above. Then, okay, nothing else to tell him. Shalom, hello, holy society. I heard that through there is none besides him we can reach connection and adhesion with the Creator. How should we yearn for it? Because Creator is hidden, how should I depict it to myself? This connection with the Creator and adhesion, the Creator is concealed because we are after the shattering. Each one feels himself as existing individually in the world. There are other people, some are closer, some are more distant, but nevertheless he is on his own, and that's the power of the shattering. If we wish to feel the Creator, we need to connect, preferably in the 10, to have 10 friends who together learn how to connect, and in this we can at least try or even attain that. There is now besides content at is connected that unifies all the thoughts, feelings, desires, and actions, creates that condition whereby the Creator is one. They are 10 as one. They adapt themselves to one another, to some extent, even to, in the smallest measure, adapting to the latter of degrees, but there's already going to be a connection between them. Okay, seemingly, that's it. You want to ask how in this effort to keep there is none else besides him every moment, every point in time, time not after the act. Like we said, how does that not cancel? If I'm not for myself, who is for me? Where is if I'm not for me, who is for me then at all? If I'm not for myself, who should be before each and every effort that I put in, and afterwards behind it, beyond it's see effort to describe to myself, to think to myself that there's besides him. There is such a state where sometimes a person, let's say, manages to enter this frequency of the is besides him. We feet in every detail on the outside, inside. Where is this I then? Which is if I'm not for myself, who is for me? Who is operating? You act in order to attain that there's n besides them. If I'm operating, then how is there none else besides him? Because still you disconnect yourself from him, so there has to be such a disconnection that a person has to keep from the very beginning in order to give a person the ability to exert, to work, to yearn, to create. That's why the Creator created this matter. It's a restriction, so there's none else besides him. If I'm not for myself, and there's none else beside, it's not the beginning of the day and at the end of the day before the ACT. I say, if I'm not for myself, who is for me, and afterwards I said there's none else beside him, but rather every moment I have to combine both of them. Yes, I don't see here anymore. I just wanted to ask, I don't manage to grasp it when a person gets all kinds of events in his life and now he determines that there is none else beside him. Yes, should he also agree with whatever he's going through in his life, or there he has an action where he can go and change things? What I'm trying to ask is the moment that a person determines there is n besides him, now does he accept that movie that the Creator is playing for him, or is he allowed to change that? No, he doesn't take accept it, simply he has to arrange it. Everything we have in life comes from wanted to arrange it according to the no besides the good, who does good, and so on so forth. So about what exactly do you say there is none else besides him? If later on you go and arrange it, you change your condition, your life, on doing it according to this command, whereby I wish the Creator to be the one unique and unifies everything in all reality. I'm trying to understand practically, how is it unmanifested the Creator is arranging for me a life, or a constant that is separating me in all kinds of places in my life, with the friends, with my family, at work. It doesn't matter, he's breaking everything. Now I need to say there's naught else besides him, and flow along with this shattering. Or where does there is none else besides him come in, and where am I allowed to come in and say no, because that's not there's none else besides him? I do not agree with what it does. You must accept life as coming entirely from him, and you have no choice but to turn the world to correction, so determining that there is none else besides him. What is it about the fact that it comes from him? Is this what you determine about what you determine that there is none else besides him? Of course he's the first and he's the last, and also in all the states between the first and the last he's also there, but concealed. But the state itself, am I obligated to change it? I mean, by changing the situation, do I not harm? There is none else besides him. You change nothing but your attitude, your individual attitude. But changing my individual attitude, how does it change the fact that I have a connection, or I have a certain Problem, it's exactly this individual attitude, so in the end you change it. I mean, do you want it to change, or do you simply and all yourself before the situation, and that's it, you are changing yourself, only you're the way you view things besides a person, individual relation to reality, his perception of reality. He doesn't change anything else. Everything that he's going through, he has to go through it. Yes, so what does it mean if I'm not for myself? Who is for me? If you won't change yourself, no one will help you in that. And how do I combine it with there's none else besides him? That everything that you feel is coming from him, so that you would adapt yourself to him. Now, incidents happen to me in my life, all kinds of incidents in my daily life. I don't know, family falls apart. I want to replace, change my job. Things happen to me on a daily life. What should I say? There's none else besides him. I just need to change my attitude and see that he's operating me in that way. Now, yes, where is my place where I can make a change and say no? Now I'm putting aside there's none else besides him. I don't want that to confuse me, but now I want to make a change with all the strength that I have, and then acknowledge him. You can't do it. You wish to make changes in life without there's no else besides him, because then I justify there's none else besides him. I use him in order to make changes that fit me. No. King of the world, yes, that's what I'm trying to understand. Seemingly it turns out that as if I remove the responsibility for myself from what's happening to me in my life, because I just have to change my attitude, my relation to it. This is an incorrect approach. So what is the right approach? You do everything together with there's N besides him, and using his power, not that you move him aside and you correct your life. After you correct your life, you can go back to him, and in my correction of my life is that would be my power to correct my life, to change my life in my daily life, in each and every action. It's not from me, no, so the whole work is the work is by with you, the 10 and the creator. This is the whole work of a person, yes. How to hold on to it all the time, and right now through the with the 10 there is none else besides him, and we see that every action that appears to us that he does it, that we feel it in our vessels. If we look in a broader perspective at the friends, at the group, and onwards on greater circles, we see how much one action that is felt in me has a different influence, sometimes completely different way on the rest of my environment, my surrounding. Let's say with one action that I feel that my pride was hurt, I see that somebody else through the same action was hurt in his money, somebody else with his respect, his honour, etc. It's abroad. Now you teach us that the entire solution to all of the actions and the problems, everything that is revealed to us, is by adding to the connection between us. Check where we can. Ultimately, this is the solution. It's only the connection between us. How do we take it and do it? It's like building one huge puzzle. How to focus everything on this point of connection. We can't do it directly, but eventually everything accumulates to that. So if I stand with a certain problem that I feel on my flesh opposite my friends, my 10, what should I tell them? What is the help that I should ask them for to help you stay connected to them, support it, to hold you up? Canon, good morning. I wanted to ask, can do a hastening acceleration of the times, and if so, how do we do it? What are we lacking in our work in the 10 in the group? We do wish to reach hasten it. Let's hope that we'll come to it, and it's all through study and the implementation between us, especially between us and all the groups together. As much as we advance, we become more and more like a single group. Let's hope that this is how it'll be. So this is our opportunity to increase the connection between us in the T, also in a group. In the group, we meet once a month, we sit together, we read excerpts, we read the Z. Get together. Also, what else are we lacking? How to make ourselves stronger, to strengthen the group, to feel that we are closer to one another. Close we are in love and connection. Thank you. Again, there is N besides him, that Person says like die says to take responsibility of himself and feel better, and there is another besides him that we say what is the difference there is none else besides him that a person says in order to feel better and take the responsibility of himself, and there is none else besides him that we say what is the difference. It's the difference between truth and false. What's in that? It's like a person on the street says a God willing or thank God, or a Kabbalist who connects to the Creator and carries out all kinds of actions. There are states where you feel that you're standing opposite a wall. You want to get closer even to the friends or the group, but you feel like the Creator now placed a wall there and it doesn't allow you to get closer. Here comes in there's none else besides him. The crow never places a wall before you. Rather, they're a special case. There are special cases that do not belong to us. Yet when a person doesn't perform actions of connection, and he says the Creator interrupts him, that's a lie. If such a state comes to, it's because to begin with I didn't act correctly in the connection. Yes, well, ask sometimes the Creator gives me blows 'cause I did something wrong, so he's right. I have to invest more to disregard less. That's fine, he was right. Sometimes he gives blows because others, okay, they are disregarding, they're not investing, and he's beating you up. Yeah, no, that's not okay, really. It's like that. What does he want? What can I change? People, that's how he created them. Either he erases them or makes them repent. But what can I do? What can you do? You can cry. I do. It doesn't help. Cry more. I cry to you every lesson, and you like to do that. Let's end this already. Either people perform of sins and argue between them, and then the Creator gives blows, and so that's okay. You justify that. Don't justify anything that I see wrong. So what do you do? I say that I see things wrongly. Okay, so I want him to change my vision, but that isn't happening either. The war is continuing. You're saying war states are going to come, but I'm doing everything okay. Really, tell me what I'm not doing okay. I'll change myself even more, but I'm doing everything. Life isn't happening. Not investing, disregarding the nation of Israel was arguing with one another. I can influence it. I don't have any way to change it. Not prayer, not dissemination. It doesn't change. Nobody's learning. Either they don't have points in the heart or they don't have a deficiency. I can only either ask you to teach me more, invest in me more. I don't know what else we have to do. It's the end to get private lessons. Rarsh gave you private lessons. He saw you had a special deficiency. You at the left that didn't have left line. So he knew to invest in you. So maybe there's a few people here that have the left line. I guess most people here are still, and there's parts that are probably more vegetative. Maybe a bit of a change. You no invested in you. He saw you had a special deficiency. Well, I'll think about it. I'll think what to do with you. And with you, what do you want to ask first of all? Fike you. I prefer the inner screen that I've acquired. Great exertion, pure of self-love. But every so often I need to realize myself to be an Adam, 'cause that's what I was born for. That's my freedom of choice. And by this I'm giving contentment to my Maker. Question: do we always need to search for the light and the vessel once the light and once the vessel comes first? Because there's no light without a vessel. Light without a vessel is defined as that there's no thought there at all that can understand it. That's why he and his name are one. Is that the way my beloved besides my beloved everything is correct? You really my beloved. You can't argue with my feelings. Go ahead. Good morning, beloved friends. We came here for an attack of connection, and we're learning of none else besides him, and the friends are making a lot of effort to be precise, to feel what the true workers with none else besides him. What can we do now this moment together? How can we aim our heart towards this? How can we extract something that we've never been able to tell today? More pressure on each other in our hearts to connect all of them into one heart, to one desire, to one purpose, and to feel that our hearts are truly connecting. There's nothing more to do. Connection of the hearts is the main thing. I think that Today we are doing a very essential and primary action in this. How can we let go of bit of the intellectual system and go more into the emotional system of being, of understanding, of faith that it'll live inside us from each every moment to the next. It all depends on the connection of the hearts. What you can I tell you that's not enough today. In the 10 we have a few meetings a day, we read articles, we ask what do you feel from this, not what you understand from this. What do you feel such an article like none else besides him? It's full of emotion. We're asking intellectual questions. No, you're not asking questions from the intellect. I didn't hear such a question, only those questions of feelings. I see that wreck lately, especially today. You're all asking only about emotions, about feelings. When will we reach such a common feeling between us where we in which we will discover the Creator, the daily work every day, every moment? Yes, how can we put the emotions in there? From said this it's written that how do I put that feeling that it'll start living in me, really living in me? You want these words that you are reading or the of it or something you want to find in them to find the feelings. So I have to search for the feelings inside me. Yes, that's important. Thank you again. Yes, that towards none else besides him. The work isn't above reason, and it's clear that if I fall into reason, so the whole feeling of n else besides him disappears. The but until person wasn't rewarded in getting some blessing from above, that'll have an ability to work above reason. So he sees all the horrible things in the world, everything that's happening here in Israel and the world, and somehow he wants to describe it to the Creator and determine that it came from none else decides and the good that does good, and he feels that the whole body resists it and to hatred to the Creator, but along with it he makes an effort and determines that it came from none else besides him, the good that does good. So that action that draws the light, that reforms one hand. I don't feel hated, I reject it. On the other hand, I still determine it. Yes, thank you as the channel from the lower one to the upper one, only through prayer. Channel of connection is that only through prayer, turning to him. Yes, only prayer. There's no other channel. No, what about gratitude? Because it goes against prayer. Gratitude, a prayer includes also gratitude. Why, that's way it is. That's a prayer. I want something to change. That's called gratitude. Pray include anything that you, everything that you can turn to the Creator. Everything from sorrow I'm crying up to joy that blasts everything. So every connection to the upper one is only through prayer, no other connection. Correct, it's also written that way. Yes, please. How can I connect to the general calculation? How to connect to the general calculation? Get into to get to know the friends, try to be close to then try to help them in everything. Buy for yourself a friend, and then you will see how much it brings you closer to them, and vice versa. Then to you, is there some condition that the collective need to do for everyone to connect to him, to the general calculation? Yes, but it depends on the individual. So the collective has to show a general desire. Only okay, thank you. No, yet determining none else besides them. When I determine that there's none else besides, how does it affect my correction and the 10 correction? It influences to the extent that you determine, does the Creator need this determination on my behalf or our behalf? Yes, of course he wants to bring all of us to one system. This is why it determines. Can I ask another? Many people say none else besides them. What's the addition from a Kabbalist that reaches the good that does good? The good who does good, and there's none else besides him become as one again. Yes, we're in this lesson because there's a special state in our country. You see that there's ways spreading around the world that the whole world is in the whirlwind because of this. Yes, can you help connect what we're talking about for an hour and a half about a private work and the tens of work, and like you said, the feeling between us to the state, because in the end I came to the lesson with a lot of yearning to get some force here to go out with it and not take it into the T because on the outside it's a catastrophe in Israel. The state is just very, very bad. You can't hide it anymore. You can't say, oh, everything's going to be okay. It won't be okay. Everybody agrees on that. I don't know what can I take from here. And beyond connection, we know that the fact that we know already is not good, but in truth it's our way to correction and our way to salvation. If you think that you can succeed in a different way, it never happened in history, nor will it happen. The only question is, when do we throw out our external clothing, this egoistic shell, and be able to understand what it means to feel the other as yourself today? Reality, there's one person, second person. They don't agree between them on very essential things in their life, not a simple things. Yes, how can they rise above that? State through pressure from the outside, and it's happening. We see this pressure is just getting stronger, and like you said, God forbid we reach what's written in the books, the true pressure. I'm asking, what can we do now? Take two people that are completely opposite in their opinions about things that for them, that their life it's essential. It's not nonsense of somebody cutting me off on the street. Yes, I don't think that our country deserves correction right now. We still haven't come to the recognition of evil, which is that we hate one another, that we are the origin, the source of hatred in all of humanity, and this is why everyone is pointing the finger at us, that we are the guilty ones. This is how they feel, and it's true. Want to relate to ourselves like the rest of the nations of the world, but it's not. It's incorrect because we're not like them. The accountability is on us if we go and say that, and I told that to a few people that don't study with us. They jump on you as if you said something of idol worshipping. And true, so what do you do? We try to circulate it as much as possible. We try, and the time will come when they accept it and begin to tend to themselves. We have no one to tend to but ourselves. What I'm hearing, maybe I didn't hear it right, that this is the time to concentrate between us and to go out in this time and let the revelation of evil happen without us, and it'll happen whenever it will, and then we'll internally be ready to do an action. That's what you meant. Perhaps. Okay. Oh, I have to make a phone call. Okay, I can do this. Afterwards I'm going out to 5 to 7 minutes. Yes, so let's go to the next part of our lesson with a sum la 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 la. Okay, friends, let's have a workshop. Sit quickly and quiet. Let's thank you. Want before we keep going, settle none else besides an Eno. Now around to tables in the rooms in the groups. Let's have a workshop. What did we take from this lesson? Central points. How do we take them into our work? How do we strengthen one another and none else besides them? Let's go. I could take is that for the friends, we need to be convinced that there's none else beside him, that you're dependent on the friends. If this is what they think, then you accept from and opinion in the society, and in this we are incorporated together. Yeah, I'm left with the feeling that a private organ isn't like the whole, and I every moment have to check how was the meeting. Okay. So yes, there's none else besides him is very, very good piece of knowledge or thought to have in one's mind when dealing with life, because it takes you don't feel that quite the burden of responsibility that one tends to take on oneself, thinking that you actually have that much control over what's going on or what will happen, and I say just give it, other way of saying I just give it up to the universe, and wait. Let's, and go with the flow. All those things that are said basically comes down to that we're just you know yourself, and you say, hey, I'm just part of this bigger system, and let it go and accept It I guess there's you have to know what things you can control, and which things you can't. It's like an EA meeting, like God give me the grace to know what I can change, and what I can't, the wisdom to know the difference, but that's basically what it gets down to.